All right, so once again, it's Tuesday, of course. So thanks for joining me. Hopefully, you can see me on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube. And hopefully, I'm in a couple of places on Facebook as well. All right, so it's getting exciting because Soft Pastel Week is coming up very soon. It's actually less than a week. It starts on Sunday, this Sunday. So if you want to join me to draw this gorgeous pelican in soft pastels, where I'm going to step you through, we're going to break it right down and I'll step you through day by day throughout the week. So definitely sign up for that. The link is in the chat in Facebook. It's also, if you're watching from Instagram, if you go into my bio, you'll see there's a link tree link you can click on and you'll see Soft Pastel Week in there as well. Okay, so definitely don't forget to join. If it's totally free, you will get an offer to join as a VIP where you can keep all the recordings, and there's other perks to being a VIP, but that is totally up to you. Okay, you can just join in and do the whole week for free and do your pelican, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I think there's quite a few people already joined. I think the Facebook group, I've been going on about this since the 1st of July. So it's like, I just wanted to make sure I let everyone know quite early. So there's already, I think there's over 700 that have signed up, and there's over 400 in the pop-up Facebook group, where it's quite active in there already. Everyone's sharing their work, which is amazing stuff. But we're starting to get towards that end. So if you haven't signed up yet and you want to, definitely follow those links. Okay. Hi, Evelyn. And hi, Farley. It's good that you're joining me. So what were we going to talk about today? So Tuesday Art Chat. I've been, honestly, this morning, I was just, laying in bed, slowly waking up, and the neighbour called to say one of our cows was out on the street. So I had to dive out of bed and go and push her back in. And it was one of the silly cows that has just had a calf 2 weeks ago. So luckily she's quite tame, so I was able to push her back towards the gates, open the gates and let her in. And wow, that little calf just came running for her because she was probably pretty thirsty. I don't know how long this silly cow had been out, but she was. Hi, Elaine as well. Just letting everyone get on. So yeah, so that was my morning, and then I was so worried that I wouldn't get back in time for Tuesday Art Chat, but I made it. So that's good. So what I wanted to have a chat about today was more just answering questions to do with sort of Soft Pastel Week and that, and also why a challenge like Soft Pastel Week really is really beneficial for artists of all levels. Okay, so I wanted to have a bit related to what we're doing next week. So next week's Tuesday chat will be cancelled. Unfortunately, I can't be in two places at once. So if you join Soft Pastel Week, I will be chatting at 9 a.m. on Facebook, just like this, but it'll be in the private pop-up group for Soft Pastel Week. Okay, so if you did want to keep listening to me rabbit on, then make sure you join. Okay, the link is in the comments. So hi, Andrea, as well. All right, so I want to talk about why Soft Pastel Week, or like I said, a challenge in general, does work for beginners and experienced artists alike. Okay, hi, Karen, as well. So Soft Pastel Week is like the perfect entry point for new artists because it removes the overwhelm and the confusion that often comes when starting a new medium. Okay, and finally switched to Facebook. I can see the comments in Facebook better than Instagram, but I do like to be on Instagram as well. So sorry if you feel like I'm ignoring you on Instagram. All right, so here's why a challenge or soft pastel week in general is good for beginners, because you're guided every step of the way. Okay, so I provide the line art, so perfect for absolute beginners, whatever it is. Here it is. This is what a line art looks like. Okay, so it's just like a tracing, and I know there's different apps and things. Line art is quite a common thing nowadays because it's quicker, simple as that, and you don't have to know how to draw to still produce beautiful art. Okay, so but some people get too carried away with their line arts. A line art should be very basic. Like I said, some of the apps do them and they put way too many lines. It's super confusing, and you don't need that. All you need, the idea of a line art is to get your proportions right. So if you're not great at sketching, you want your proportions. For any realism, proportions are very important. So whether you freehand sketch it or use a projector or a grid or whatever, when you're working small like this, just on A4, then just doing a tracing of the reference image is the quickest way to do this. Okay, but you just want the basic outline. Sometimes when I see a value change, so like on the reference image, see there's a value change here where it's in shadow, so that maybe is something that I'll sometimes put. And then where the eye is very important, so make sure you get the eye right. So with a challenge like Soft Pastel Week, I'm supplying that for you, so you just print it out and you don't have to worry about if you can draw or not, because you've got that ready to go. It's broken down into bite-sized tutorials, okay, so that you're not having to try and find hours and hours to sit down. Like overall, I think that pelican probably took maybe 2 hours, but it's broken down over the 4 days and like in about half-hour chunks. So I think the last one's about an hour. Okay, so bite-sized tutorials, so it's not overwhelming. Clear structure, so I'm guiding you step by step, totally in real time. And I don't do a voiceover, I actually talk in my tutorials. I obviously like to talk because I talk all the way through. I always say to my students when they're watching one of my tutorials, if I go silent, it's because I'm concentrating. But normally I'm talking, but I'm not talking about random things. I'm talking about what I'm doing and my thought process, and if I make a mistake, how I'm fixing it. So it's all in real time, no voiceovers or anything. Okay, so you'll really be able to get inside my head and work through like I do. And I get a lot of students to say they enjoy that because I seem to make it very easy to follow. And I've been running the Soft Pastel Weeks for years now, and we do get some great results. Everyone is always really proud of what they've produced by the end of it. Okay, and you're never left wondering what to do next because I'm telling you. What's Beck got here? In the live 2 weeks ago, the subtitles kept calling it Soft Pastel Week, and I'm down for that too. Maybe we could combine pasta and pastels. Hi, Alexandra. And Tanya's on as well. Awesome. Okay, let me get back to my notes. Okay, so, and like I said, you don't need to know how to draw. So the focus is on learning how to use pastels. So I'm not teaching you how to perfect drawing skills. I'm teaching you how to use soft pastels and the techniques needed to build up layers and all of that sort of stuff and to create realism. Okay, so that will help you build your confidence right from the get-go because you don't need to know how to draw. Okay, so there's also no pressure to be perfect, so you can follow along at your own pace. You'll, in the free, if you've only joined up for free, you have access to all the tutorial and that until the 31st of July. Okay, so you've got, it's quite a beginner friendly tutorial, this one, the Pelican. So you should quite easily have it finished by the end of July. Okay. You can ask questions. That's another great reason to do it as a beginner. You can ask questions and share your progress in the Facebook group. And I will be live every single day that you can ask any question you want. Even if you just pop the question, if you can't attend the live, you pop the question just in the Facebook group. I'll be going through the group and then I'll answer questions in there, but I'll then can answer in more depth and detail in the Facebook lives each day. Okay. The other great thing for beginners is pastels are forgiving. So if you make a mistake, you can either just blend it out, or you can lift it off with sticky tape or a rubber, or you can layer over the top of it if you haven't clogged your paper at all. And you'll also get a finished result. So for someone starting out, that feels really great. Like, to be able to complete a piece is really sort of empowering and motivating. So sometimes when I do a soft pastel week challenge, we just do different textures. So I think in January we did fur, feathers, an eye, and crocodile skin and teeth, actually. But you're not left with a finished painting. It's just a great way to learn texture. But as a beginner, I think it's really wonderful to be able to walk away with a finished painting like this that you're going to be really proud of. And every second challenge week, we've done dogs before, cats, all the rest. I thought I'd do something completely different with the Pelican, but I know the students that at the end of it that have that finished piece, they're always so proud of themselves that they've actually come away with something that looks amazing. So as a beginner, that's sort of some of the great benefits of doing a challenge like this. But also for those more experienced artists, it can help with if you're in a creative slump, I suppose. So the beauty of Soft Pastel Week is that it'll reignite inspiration without any pressure to create a masterpiece at all. Okay, so it's a structured project with zero decision fatigue. So you don't have to choose what to paint, or you don't have to gather references, you don't have to plan a composition. It's all provided and you just show up and make art. Okay, so if you've been in a bit of a slump with your art and not sure sort of what you feel like doing, then challenges like this are perfect. Okay, it gives you a reason to show up. So knowing there's a community sort of all working together on the same piece, it encourages accountability and momentum. And you're probably going to want to share, especially the more experienced artists. It's great for some of the beginners to see your work as well. And that's just one thing I do want to say to those that are going to be complete beginners. Don't be intimidated, and do not ever compare your work to others. Okay, you have no idea what stage they are. Like, some people have time to draw and paint every single day. Others are lucky to get an hour a week. Some may have done art for years and years and haven't done any for a while and coming back to it. Some might be professional artists. You might be a complete beginner that has never even picked up a pencil. Okay, so everyone is completely different. So the main thing of Pastel Week is you never compare to others, but you should be inspired by others, especially those that have been doing art for a while. Okay, and it's a great place because you've got all those different types of artists in the one group. So it's the perfect place to get your questions answered. Okay, not just by me, but from everyone. So also, as a more experienced artist, a challenge like this could help reconnect with some fun. So sometimes we forget how fun art can be. So having fun with others, celebrating little wins and feeling encouraged can really spark the original passion that you had for art again. Okay, there's also room to experiment. Even if you already know soft pastels, this is a chance to try new techniques, or you might want to do yours in just pastel sticks and go a bit looser than me. But I find I like to do different workshops with different pastel artists that I like their work, because you'll always learn something. Okay, so even if you've been doing pastels for years and years, I might do something a little bit different to how you normally do it. So there's always plenty of tips to take away from this sort of stuff. And of course, there's no pressure. You're not entering a competition. You're reconnecting with the creative process just for its own sake. Okay, and then for everyone who joins in on Soft Pastel Week, the community is so important, because art, we all know, can be quite isolating. So Soft Pastel Week will give you a space to be seen, supported and inspired, and definitely share your work. If you're loving your progress, what you're doing, if you've maybe you haven't been able to blend very well. I get that quite a lot with people using pastel mat. A lot of my students, they struggle with getting that beautiful, even, soft blend. So that could be a huge win for you. After even the first tutorial, you might actually might have clicked of how to do it, and that's a win. So share it with everyone. Things like that are great in the community. But on the other hand, you might be getting stuck with it, so share that as well, and I can let you know exactly where you can work, like what you can work on to fix it. Okay, so you'll also, everyone who joins will have progress, of course. So whether you're learning the basics or rediscovering sort of your art rhythm, there's always progress to be made. And then creative confidence. So at the end of the challenge, you'll have something beautiful to show for your time, and a reminder that you are an artist, of course. And also for everyone who does join in Soft Pastel Week, in the Facebook group, if you share throughout the week, all you need to do is share a post of your progress, or just show to me that you're actually doing the art. So whether that's just your line art or whether it's your finished pelican, as long as you post it, you're going to go in the draw to win 6 months free membership with the Creative Barn premium tier. Okay, so it's a great prize, and that also is open for all my existing students as well. So the reason I do that is I want you to be present in the group. Okay, so everyone gets a chance. All right, who else have we got on as well? We've got Carolyn, Elaine, hello. Julianne, hi. Julianne's question: if you can't blend, why do you like pastel mat? You can blend on pastel mat. You can see right here, this is a dark to light blend, and it blends beautifully, but it's just, you just need to know the tricks. So like I was saying yesterday, you guys probably didn't see it. Some of you did, but on pastel mat, you need a sponge tool. On sanded paper, you use your fingers. Okay, but pastel mat is beautiful for blending, but some people who don't know how to use pastel mat very well struggle with blending on it. Okay, but it does definitely blends really, really nicely. You just need, again, you need to learn the techniques. So, and that's the other thing, be open to learning. Okay, if you're new to pastels, or even if you've been doing pastels for a while, be open to learning. Don't just throw those barriers up and go, oh, I can't do it, and it's not for me. You need to, it's like any painting medium, it was like anything in life, you need to learn how to do it. So have patience with yourself. Okay, any skill takes time. Okay, so don't expect, like, I'm going to show you the techniques, and I think everyone's going to have a great time, and a lot of you are going to be able to do it. But if you're going to be too hard on yourself and criticize it, then you're blocking yourself from learning. Okay, so make sure you come into it with an open mind, And if you are struggling, always reach out to me in the Soft Pastel Week Facebook group, and I'll help you. So it could be a paper choice, it could be a pastel choice, it could be you just haven't put enough layers down. You know, there's always a reason why. You might have clogged the paper, and you just need to pull out a bit. But pastel matte especially is so forgiving. So, all right. Julianne said she bought the sponge tools. Perfect. So yeah, you'll be laughing. You won't have any trouble. Okay, so I've got a list of questions here that are fairly common questions. I thought I'd just go through some questions. And of course, if you have any, pop them in the chat as well. But I'll go through what I have here. So this is not just the challenge. This is in general. What materials do I need to start with soft pastels? Okay, so you only need a few essentials to begin. And I know when you walk into an art shop and they have all these huge walls of pastels and it looks like a lolly shop. It's like my favorite place in the world. But it can be really confusing. Okay, but you don't really need all of that. Okay, just some essentials. So maybe a small little starter set of soft pastel sticks. But when I say that, be careful of colors, because you don't want to start a set that's just like bright red and bright blue and bright green. You want to start a set of maybe some landscape colors or some portrait colors, just ones. Usually the sticks are used for backgrounds, so just keep that in mind, okay? Backgrounds, especially if you're doing wildlife and nature art, are usually trees or beaches and blue skies and things like that, okay? So just usually a little tiny set of half sticks is enough to get going. And then your pastel pencils, of course, which I always recommend buying the full set of Stabilos because they're pretty good price on Amazon. And then, of course, a textured paper like Pastel Matte, and then maybe a kneadable eraser or a blending tool. Okay, and that's pretty much it. So they can be kind of more affordable than you actually think, because when you compare them to other painting mediums, you don't need solvents or brushes, and sometimes a good paintbrush can be $40 alone. Okay, you don't need palettes and easels or mediums like you would with oil or acrylic. So just those few pastel sticks and pencils, good sheet of pastel paper, of course, and then like your blending tool. So, and there's no drying time. There's no cleanup. That's why I like them, because you don't have to scrape a palette and wash your brushes or any of that. You can just leave them and come back to them. Okay, so, and pastels last a very long time. So a single stick of high quality pastel will last through heaps and heaps of artworks. Okay, and I only use a little small amount at a time. I just break my sticks all the time. So surprisingly, one stick might be $10, but it can go a long way. You can even reuse like broken bits. You can just crush them down and add a touch of water and remold them, and there you go. Or you can crush them and just use like a sponge in it to go. There's no waste. So even if you drop a pastel stick and it shatters everywhere, you can grab all those pieces and just grind them down, say in a mortar and pestle. You just add some water and shape it back into a pastel stick. Okay, so I always I've got little jars with all my little broken ones. So I'll have all the different sort of pinks and reds together, all like the yellows and that together, blues together. And then I can just crush them all and turn them into another stick. So yeah, there's just never really any waste at all. And especially like paper is reusable in many cases. So a good quality paper like Pastel Matte, you can, if something's not working, usually you can fix it straight away with pastels, like by going over it or repositioning something. Or if you clog the paper a bit, you can use sticky tape or a kneadable eraser and pull out the pastel and go again. And even with pastel matte, you can wash it off. Okay, I've never really had to do that because I've always been able to fix any mistakes. But if you really are hating it, you can just wash it off and let it dry and you're good to go again. Okay, so even though, yeah, people think it can be expensive, it's not, because you're never wasting it. You're not going to ruin it at all. You can just reuse it. Okay, it's like that, is quite rare with watercolor and acrylic or oils, where a bad painting usually means tossing it out, especially watercolor. Okay, so yeah, so just keep in mind, you don't need everything you see in the shop. Like I said, I just use that one set of Stabilos. They're my main go-to. I do a lot of my style of pastel painting is with pencils, because it's just how I work. I use the sticks for the backgrounds and blocking, and you'll see it in the Pelican tutorial. And then the pencils for the details. So they're the most important, I think, the paper, then the pencils, and then a few sticks of pastel. And you can blend. So even if, say, I don't have exactly the right color in my Stabilos, like say there's quite often there's not a green as dark as I would like in there, so I just add their darkest green and add a touch of they have one called lamp black, which is a really dark blue, so I usually add a bit of that with some of the green and it makes it a nice dark green. So you're just blending. Okay, you don't need every single piece of material out there. Okay, so compared to other mediums, like I said, watercolor requires expensive paper, good quality brushes, and of course all the different colors and everything. And if you make a mistake with watercolor on your paper, it's really hard to fix that up. Oil painting can be expensive because of the brushes, the solvents. You need a well ventilated space, of course, and good quality canvases, which are not cheap either. And acrylics need quite a lot of different paints and surfaces, brushes, mediums, and cleanup time, whereas pastel does not, which is why I've tried every medium. And I do enjoy oil paints. I'm not a fan of acrylic, and I don't mind watercolor. I just find watercolor really hard. But pastel, it's great for time poor people, and because you don't have any of that cleanup, and it can just be left sitting there and you can come straight back to it. So if you've only got 15 minutes, as long as you've got a little art space that you can leave your painting, like your drawings out, and yeah, if you've got 15 minutes, you can just come and do a little bit, and then that's it, you're done. Okay, but yeah, just keep in mind that a good quality set of pastels and pencils will last you years. Okay, they're like I said, I've said before, they're the richest form of pigment. They've got the most pigment, paint pigment in them, so they will last a lifetime. Okay, so soft pastels they're dry and pigment rich, allowing for vibrant color and smoother blending. So they're not waxy like oil pastels, and they aren't chalk either. Okay, chalk tends to be duller and harder, and I think I've heard chalk has like lime in it, so kind of like concrete. So, but being such a strong pigment base, they are the brightest medium available. Okay. Hold on, I'm just looking at the comments. All right. Oh, Julianne, that's great that the price has gone up now. Awesome. Okay, so I'm looking forward to going. All right, cool. Okay, so, and of course, then what types of paper? Look for sanded or textured papers like Clairefontaine Pastel Matte, which grip the pastel and allow for layering, of course. So try and avoid any smooth papers. Okay, it doesn't hold the pigment and will lead to frustration. So if you want to create realistic work like mine, then you need to build up layers, and that can't happen on inferior papers. Okay, so I did have it here earlier. I don't know where I've put it now. I was showing last night in the group the paper not to use, but just keep in mind, so you want like Clairefontaine pastel mat, a UArt or Fisher 400, feel like sandpaper. There's Colourfix Original, Miton's Touch, they're also feel sanded. There's also the new Canson Miton's Velvet, which it's all right. I don't like, it doesn't blend very well at all. So like I've said with pastel mat, you can keep adding pastel stick until you can get a beautiful blend, whereas the Miton's, the Canson Velvet, I've put 10 layers of pastel stick on there and I still can't get it to blend. Okay, but it's still better than a smoother paper. So yeah, so just keep that in mind, okay, when you're out looking for papers. All right, so some more questions about the realism side. Okay, so that was more about the soft pastels. So one of the questions I also sometimes get is, how can I achieve realistic textures and depth with soft pastels? So for me, I use light layers and gradually build up the values and everything. So just always light layers, many light layers, and that works on pastel mat. So I always start with an underpainting and then I move into the smaller details with my pastel pencils. So pay close attention to your reference images. So realism is all about observing the subtleties. So I think rather than learning to draw as such, what you need to do is learn to see. Okay. I know when I'm talking to my students and I'm showing a reference image and I say, you see that dark there or that bit of shadow there, or see the shape of that, they're not seeing it because that comes with time, but it is, you're sort of training yourself to see better. Even out in plein air, like just sketching from nature, it's observation skills is what you're going to build when you're trying to learn realism, okay? So you need to be able to break down shapes and textures and also see colors as well. So you've sort of got to get the proportions right, then the values and the edges and the textures. All of those are important and all sort of come together to create something to look realistic. Okay, so there again, don't be hard on yourself. You just got to keep observing and keep learning, and yeah, and you will get better and better. Okay, so some common mistakes that beginners make when trying to get to aim for realism. So usually they rush the first sketch. So like I said, proportions very important. So whether you're freehand sketching or using a line art, you've ruled out any mistakes because you'll get that right. But if you're freehanding it, make sure you keep refining it until it's right before you move on. Also using the wrong paper, of course, like I keep saying, paper is the most important. Pressing too, that's in relation to pastel, definitely. And also pressing too hard and clogging the paper, that's another problem. And trying to add detail too early. So it's just patience and layering. So you sort of start loose and finish tight. And I know a lot of oil painters work that way as well. Okay, so you're looking at the overall picture, building that up. That's why I do that sort of the background and the blocking, and then I start to focus on the details. So also how important are values and shading in creating realistic pastel art. So they're extremely important. Values, which are like your lights to darks, they create depth and dimension. So if your values are off, your whole painting will look flat. So even if your drawing is really accurate, it will still look, it just won't look right. It'll look flat. And it's quite a common problem for most beginners. They don't go dark enough in the shadows or use the full range of values. So you really want to try and get the really lights right through to the really darks on your value scale, okay, to get something to look more realistic. So if you're fairly new to it, and even just drawing in graphite. So say you've done a drawing of, I don't know, a cat or something in graphite and it looks flat to you, 99% of the time it will be you haven't gone dark enough or your lights aren't light enough, okay? And that will help to give it that form and shape. Okay, so that's something that most beginners struggle with. And here's a few more questions for those. A lot of my students are we're like empty nesters, let's put it that way. So am I too old to begin learning to draw or paint? And it's like, absolutely not. So like I said, most of my students have begun art in their 50s, 60s and 70s. So it's not about age, it's about passion, practice, and giving yourself permission to create. And I also find because a lot are empty nesters and kids have left home, we're now actually having more time. And that's what it's all about. And we want to do stuff that we want to do. We've spent our whole life, looking after family and doing everything for everyone else. And now it's time for us to shine. Okay. And it's just, it's a great way to do that. And it's good for your mental health, of course, as well. It's a great way to relax. Okay. So how can I overcome the fear of not being good enough to start art? Oh, Elaine, I'm 74 and it's never too late to start and have fun. Yeah, exactly. Having fun is the main thing, I think. It's silly to do things that you're not enjoying. So, all right. So overcoming that fear of not being good enough is I would start small. So give yourself a project like Soft Pastel Week where your guide is step by step. Okay. So remember, it's a skill and it's learnable. And art is about the journey, not perfection. So inside the Creative Barn, we have a whole module on fundamental lessons, which is a perfect place to start. So I'd even just get started using a graphite pencil and a sketchbook. If your funds are limited and that's something that's holding you back, maybe you're thinking, we always have all these roadblocks, things that stop us from doing things. And a common one could be the expense. Okay, so you can still learn art and still learn realistic art and be amazing at it just with a graphite pencil and a sketchbook. Okay, so you can easily learn to draw realistically in a sketchbook, and then you can move on to color later. Okay, so there really is no reason to not get into it. And like I said, in the Creative Barn, we have a whole fundamental section which could keep you busy for months and months and months doing all the projects and lessons in there. But just get on to YouTube and look up the 7 visual elements of art. That's how you should get started, okay? And that'll teach you. There's so many lessons on there, but it will get you started. If you've never drawn, you can't draw a stick figure, as people say, start with the 7 visual elements, okay? All right, and building confidence. So join supportive communities, again, like Soft Pastel Week or my membership, online membership. So follow a clear process and celebrate the small wins. Confidence grows through doing, not waiting to feel ready, okay? So definitely this is what my whole subject today was about, was why challenges are great, why you should join Soft Pastel Week. And like I said, the link is in the chat there, or if you're over on Instagram, it is in the bio, my bio link as well. Okay, so if you have any more questions, then make sure to get into Soft Pastel Week, where we'll be discussing all of this plus lots more throughout the week. We'll be talking pastels, we'll be talking confidence, time management. I'll be breaking down each step of the pelican. You'll get the recorded tutorials for that. So don't forget, we kick off on Sunday. So whether you're brand new to soft pastels or just need a bit of a creative boost, it's your chance to sort of jump in and have some fun. Okay, so I'll put the link. It is in the comments, but I will just pop it in again at the bottom here. And yeah, it's going to be great. And I'm just checking there's no more questions. No. Yeah, and I can't wait to see you. You'll be sick of me by the end of Soft Pastel week because I'll be on all the time. But like I said, it is the best chance to get questions answered if you're stuck on anything to do with soft pastels, to do with realism, just to do with art in general. I'm more than happy to answer anything that I know. There's a wealth of knowledge with all other students in there as well. Okay, even tech, like, you know, using technology to help with your art practice. I talked about that the other week on Tuesday Chat. But yeah, if that's something you want to dive into more, then that's great as well. All right, so make sure you join. And it's like I said, it's free. To do it, you have access to everything till the 31st of July. If you think you want the recordings and some more one-on-one type of Zoom calls with me, then jump on that VIP offer, which you will see when you follow that link. What's Farley got? Realism is at what point satisfies you and you call it finished. That's a great statement, Farley, because, yeah, there is all different types of realism. I call my stuff realism, but I'm by no means hyper realistic. Okay, so as long as it looks real enough. I like mine to look like you could like touch the animal. I don't want it to look exactly like a photo. But then there's others that do want it to look like a photo. So yeah, very true point there, Farley. So realism is up to you how far you want to push it. But the main thing is so that it actually, you can tell exactly what it is, and it looks, yeah, it has that form and 3D look to it. Okay, so all right, anyway, I'm gonna go and let you guys all get going. And yeah, thanks for joining me, and hopefully I will see you inside Soft Pastel Week on Sunday. All right, bye guys.